Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today on this video, I wanted to answer a great viewer question that was made on a video that I did about the 3 big mistakes of fishing spook style baits. And when I say spook style baits, we're talking about the walking bait category of topwater baits. And of course, the Zara Spook is like one of the biggest players in that. It's been around for a long time. It's been a very successful bait. This right here is the saltwater super spook. But this category includes all the different types of walking baits, you know, that all the different brands make, as well as pencil popper style of baits, okay, that have the same side-to-side walking action. It's a little bit different just from the overall build. Usually pencil poppers also have a lot of weight in the back that allow for a more dramatic side, 180 degree side-to-side walking action, as well as a spitting, you know, concave mouth that spits a lot of water and creates more commotion. So both of these fairly different styles of baits I consider walking baits. And the question that I got was from Kelly Halverson 2887. They asked, "Hey Miles, what rod length and action do you use for spook style baits?" So great question. So thank you, Kelly, for that. Really, for me, there are 3 different rods that I use for my walking baits, and really depends on the size of walking baits that I'm using, and you know, also the type to a certain extent. You know, we talked that there's 2 different general types. You got the traditional, just more cigar-shaped Zara Spook style, and then you've got the pencil popper style that has that concave nose generally. They're not really all that different. I would say, number one, to give you a short answer, for me, and this is not a video where I'm trying to sell you on this exact rod that I use, or rods. You know, pretty much every brand, every manufacturer is going to make a rod that, you know, kind of fits the bill for these style baits. These are just the rods that I prefer. So I am going to put the links in for these 3 rods I'm going to show you in the description below. In fact, actually, I only have 2 that I'm going to show you, and I'll just talk about the 3rd. But yeah, we'll have all those links down below. But in general, to just talk about the overall qualities that I'm looking for, let's start with length. So to me, the length of the rod, and we're generally talking about casting rods, okay? I don't generally use a lot of spinning rods with topwaters unless I'm using like a super, super tiny topwater walking bait, which is pretty rare. But generally speaking, I like to have a somewhat longer rod for fishing walking baits. My overall favorite size for most situations is going to be a 7-foot 3-inch blank. And then as far as the action that I want, I like to have a medium heavy power with a fast action. So the one that I like is this one right here. This is the 7.3 medium heavy Versa series rod from Fitzgerald. And the reason why I like the Versa series is because it's kind of on the lower priced end of the spectrum, but it is fully graphite, but it tends to have a little bit more of a softer tip. So, which I really like for most reaction baits. In fact, this is the rod that I generally use for a huge variety of reaction baits. You know, square bill crankbaits, spinner baits, walking baits as we're talking about here, other topwater baits that have treble hooks, chatterbaits, swim jigs, all of those different types of reaction baits I love to throw on this rod. So this is a good all-purpose rod. So you've got that little bit of a softer tip, which I think is really important. When you're working these baits, you know, you're slapping slack into that line, having a nice softer tip is a great benefit for you. But I also like having that medium heavy power and faster action because I feel like I get a better backbone. You know, I can control those fish when we're fishing around cover. You know, say you hook into a fish next to a dock or something like that. You want to be able to lead those fish out away from those dock posts. So I really do feel like having a good solid backbone, but a rod that has a little bit softer of a tip, because I have some rods that are 7.3 medium heavy and a fast action, but they tend to have less of a soft tip to them, which you could still use those rods just fine, but I feel like this rod, the Versa series, just has a better action overall. So anyways, that is the answer. So if you want to stop this video right now, something that is like fairly long, 7.3 to 7.6, which is the next rod I'm going to show you, and a medium heavy power and fast action. That's kind of what I'm looking for with these baits. You don't need a parabolic bend or a composite style rod for fishing a spook style bait. In fact, I just don't think that would be very beneficial for you. I really like the responsiveness of a fast action rod with a medium heavy power blank. So the 7.3 is my favorite all around size. The other one that I'll just talk about because I didn't grab one is a 7-foot medium heavy. Okay, still the Versa series. All three of these that I'm showing you are the Versa series with Fitzgerald. You'll have to do some digging to figure out what would be a comparable, rod in other brands, but pretty much every brand makes something that's going to work great for a walking topwater bait. If I am fishing really, really small, but not like so small that I can't throw them on a bait caster altogether, generally smaller walking baits, which sometimes is something that you really need to do, when you have smaller bait fish and the fish are just super keyed in on those smaller size class fish. You want to throw smaller topwaters. If I'm getting into those really, more finesse walking baits, that's when I'll switch to a 7-foot medium heavy Versa series rod, because I feel like, the 7.3 is just going to overpower those baits, and I'm just not going to be able to get enough loading action as I'm casting with the 7.3. It's just those are too light of baits to really get the bend that you need to get a good long cast. So anyways, so 7 foot is one that I will use on occasion for smaller, walking baits, but really that's the only situation, is those smaller baits. So the final rod that I like for my walking baits is a rod that I like for my larger style walking baits, whether it's a super spook or a larger, pencil popper style bait, or like shower blows, something like that. Or if I want to make ultra long casts, like say I'm fishing for fish that are schooling, coming up schooling, and sometimes they come up schooling way out there. I want a rod that when I'm casting these larger baits really loads up on the cast. So when I'm casting it, it loads up. It's not like super stiff or anything like that. Allows me to just bomb that thing out there, pretty much empty the spool. And that's why sometimes I'll use the 7.6 medium heavy Versa series rod. This one is way more parabolic bend than the 7.3, believe it or not. You'd think that it would be more stiff. And in fact, I'll show you something that's pretty interesting. If you put these two side by side, this one is quite a bit thicker than this one, okay? If you look at them there, this is, I don't know if you can quite tell, but the top one is a thicker blank, a wider blank than the bottom one, and the bottom one is the 7.6 medium heavy. The 7.3 is much beefier, so it has a much, effectively a much stronger backbone to it than the 7.6, but the 7.6 is really good because of that reason. It doesn't have as stiff of a backbone, so like if I'm trying to make a really long cast, being able to have a backbone that loads up and actually bends on the cast can launch baits a lot further. So I do like the 7.6 for that reason. It's not my choice if I'm trying to be somewhat accurate, like casting to like particular targets and working a bait by those, because the longer the rod you have, the less accurate it's going to make you. You know, you can be very accurate with a longer rod. It just takes a little bit more practice, you know, to be super accurate with it. But the 7.3 is going to be more accurate overall. So anyways, I'm kind of over talking on this topic. Those are the 3 rods that I like. The overall, answering the overall question, something that's in the 7.3, we'll say 7 to 7.6 range as far as length, medium heavy power, and a fast action, to me is the best type of rod for fishing a walking bait. If you find something right smack dab in the middle like the 7.3, that's going to handle most of the situations that you're presented with a walking bait. So thank you, Kelly, for the question. Again, the links are going to be in the description below, so check those out. And another link that's going to be below, I want to start pushing this more and more, especially since we're getting into the holiday season. We've got our St. Jude fundraiser link in the description below. We just really are starting to push that, and so I would love to get your guys' help to, you know, to get some donations. This all goes straight to St. Jude. The link actually brings you to the St. Jude website. So, and obviously this is a cause that's near and dear to my heart and my family's heart. So go check out that link if you want to help kids like my daughter Riley. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to see you out in the water. Make sure you trust the process.